Dots on the screen like disco lights, flicker and shine in the heat of the night. Oh. I got the moves, I got the groove, trade the dots and watch me improve. Yeah. Trade the dots, hit the spots, fund the prop, make it pop. Money, money, money. Oh, it's hot. Trade the dots, yeah, trade the dots. Spin that chart like a DJ wheel, up and down, it's a funky deal. Risk is a dance, it's a balancing act, but I'm moonwalking on this market track. Yeah. Fingers snapping, numbers tapping, groove keep flowing, never napping. Trade the dots, hit the spots, fund the prop, make it pop. Money, money, money. Oh, it's hot. Trade the dots, yeah, trade the dots. Cashing in, cashing out, shake it, scream and shout. Pockets fat, but I'm staying lean. I'm the king of the trading scene. Yeah. Dots on the screen like disco lights, flicker and shine in the heat of the night. Oh. I got the moves, I got the groove, trade the dots and watch me improve. Yeah. Trade the dots, hit the spots, fund the prop, make it pop. Money, money, money. Oh, it's hot. Trade the dots, yeah, trade the dots.
Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're going to buy this. I'm going to explain to you why we buy this. And I'm going to explain to you everything that is looking orange on this chart. We are trading 8 cap on the New York close, which is CFDs, Nasdaq, US30, gold on the CFD basis. I'm going to explain to you exactly what's going on. I got a very, very interesting setup that I'm going to add into the rotation. I'm going to add it to the PDF. So as I said, I'm going to update the PDF tomorrow for everybody, and I'll let everybody download it. If you guys, in the meantime, if you want to download today's version of all the rules and explanations, it's right over here. Here's the link if you want to download the PDF if you haven't done this. Okay, first question of the day. Everybody jumping out at me going, how come the candles are all orange? They're all orange because there's a volatility setting inside this, which I'm going to, by the way, make user defined, so you can turn it on, turn it off as you want to. My great idea is not working right now. So that volatility setting, right, has it's set up for futures. The problem is when you're trading CFDs, the tick values in CFDs are completely different. So what it's set up for is 40 points maximum. It only turns orange if the Nasdaq candle is 40 points in one single 1 minute candle. However, when you're doing CFDs, that's 4,000 ticks. So you need to change this to 4,000 ticks on, I have 2 of these over here, so I have to change them on both. And once you change it to the 4,000 ticks, I'm going to make it basically, I'm going to leave the volatility setting off, and the user can turn it on. So there'll be like a little checkbox over here. And if if it's checked, then the volatility setting will be on. If it's unchecked, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna matter. But the moment I just checked it, I made it to 4,000 ticks. You see, everything comes back to normal. So that explains. Who was it? Claudia was asking, why are they orange? That explains why the oranges go away, right? So we're looking at Nasdaq CFD. 500 ticks is 5 points. 1,500 ticks is 15 points. So, it's just each tick is 100 versus $1 on our structures here. Let me get rid of this. Actually, you know what? Let me take this off so you guys can see it. I think it's probably better if you see the full screen, right? I think the better screen for you guys. Let me make sure everything looks good on. Yeah, I think this is a cleaner looking chart. You can get. Oh, I got to sneeze. Oh, sorry, guys. Get nice and big here on the candles. So I have a really, 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 really good additional dot setup for all of us. Today you guys are the lucky ones to get to see it first. I actually just passed my eval with this particular setup. I used very high leverage, but it really, really worked very well for me. So it's not like the setup was the only reason why I got the eval, but it really, really helped me to pass the eval because it's extremely accurate, especially in the first instantiation of trends. So in other words, once the trend starts, once the slope turns one color, it's a really, really interesting trade on the idea. So the idea is the following, and I'll put this into a slide so it'll be part of our PDF knowledge base. We're looking first for a pull away candle, right? Pull away candle. That's what we're looking for. Then we're looking for any kind of a pause. So you can't have two dots. You can't have a dot after the pull away candle. But if you have a pause and then a secondary dot, so in this case, this is your trigger. Pull away candle. Then the next candle, it doesn't matter if it's a pull away or it just needs to be a dot candle in the direction of the thing. You're long here, obviously with a 5 target. This one was pretty easy. This is 613. It goes all the way out to 618, hits target, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Even if it didn't, it never went below 15. So you would have hit target over here. But the way this would work is, here's pull away candle, right? Pull away candle over here, right? Any pull away candle. The next dot is this one. Boom, you're long here. Unfortunately, this pull away candle that I was trading right over here with this particular dot, that was like the third or the fourth dot in the structure. So it didn't do me right. But you see this pull away candle, you'd have a pause. You need a pause. You can't take the next dot or the next dot after that. But this would be the next. You have a pause and then the next dot over here. Boom. This trade also would have worked. I think this was 30 and it went all the way up to 37 over here. So 5 points easily done. So it's a really, the reason why it's a good setup is because it's not super frequent. It also gives you kind of a pre-setup and a setup structure. Oh, sorry. I hear like a car going off. I thought it was mine. A setup and a setup structure. So it kind of really gives you a couple of minutes of preparation, right? You're not just rushing on a trade. That makes it super, super valuable. So this was, unfortunately, this particular setup was the first setup that it didn't work. We have a retrace setup, which I'm going to sell over here. That's a B plus retrace setup. We'll take that. I'll trade retraces with you all day long, just to because I know a lot of people like to trade them. It's not my setup, but it's a good one. The B plus setup, which is you are selling counter trend or buying a dip, selling the rip in what is essentially a trend here. We'll see if this works. This one, nothing seems to be completing here in the final hour. But actually, after we left, and it was a very, very churny morning, there was some very nice clean moves in the afternoon that helped me a lot. I passed one of my evals, so I think tomorrow we'll just trade evals continuously. And I think tomorrow I'll probably actually even trade in the New York session on wealth charts because I really want this particular structure doesn't require anything new additional for us to be able to do. You're just listening mode and driving. Okay, I'll paint a picture for you, Olo, so you'll get it. You also you can I will add this, as I said, to the PDF tomorrow for everybody to see it. It was really, I mean, it's just to walk you through this particular setup, right? How many of them worked? So just even in the last hour, right? What we're looking for is, again, this is pull away candle, some pauses, next dot candle. So this one is over here. We're long here. This is 607. This obviously works over here to 13. The next pull away candle, the next dot candle would be here. That works over here. The next pull away candle. This is a pull away. Sorry, this is a pull away candle over here. The next dot candle is over here. That works to the upside. Pull away candle. We're looking for pauses. Then the next one over here. This one is 30, and then, as I said, that one works. So that's like 4 of them in a row before I finally hit the snag with a 5th one over here on the downside. That's very, it's very nice, and it works just as well on gold. And I haven't looked at the US30. Obviously, US30 is a good structure for us. US30 here is giving us a chance to maybe put this into practice, right? So here's US30. We have the pull away candle. Where am I? Where's my little? Here we go. It's a pull away candle right here. Pause. Like no dot candle. The next dot, if we get a green dot after this, we're going to take that as a trade. We're going to take that as a trade here on US30 to the upside. So see if that works for us. So 47 seconds left. Now, guys, those of you guys who are expecting MetaTrader 5, MetaTrader 4 today, I guess Nasdaq, I guess the retrace trade did not work because we really bursted up here. So, by the way, this is a buy candle for us. So pull away, next green dot. Remember, we just can't have two dots together. We need a little bit of a pause. But after the pull away, the next green dot, let's see if this one is going to give us a chance. We've got 12 seconds. As long as the green dot holds, we're going to go with a 10 points, 30 points on US30. Boom, long. All right, I'm long here. A little bit of a slip. So let's move this up a little bit. I got to try to get 8 points on that. And let's see what we did on Nasdaq. Let's see if Nasdaq is Nasdaq doesn't have quite anything for us right now. What about gold? All right, gold also has pull away. Actually, so here's the fun thing. We can do gold 100, 300. Let's buy this. We're getting a better print than we would at the end of this candle. Let's see if this works for us on gold. Gold was a great trade in Asia yesterday. Gold on New York close is obviously problematic, but we get a chance to trade everything and anything on the New York close and see if anything works right now. So the sequence here would have been, pull away candle here, entry over here. That would have gotten us done. This is the second sequence, and again, the second sequence is always the weaker sequence. At the beginning of the trend is always the stronger trend. But I just wanted to show you the structures as much as possible. Whether they work or not, it's going to be problematic today. We'll see. Okay, this goes over here. This is the pull away candle. That's the trade for us on the upside. You know what, guys? It's a little bit fuzzy on YouTube, right? Am I right? You guys are seeing it's not as clear as it should be. I think I know why. Give me a yes if it's a little bit fuzzy. Yeah, you can't trade. You can't. We're not trading Apex. We're trading ACAP. We're not trading futures in the afternoon. We're trading for our friends at ACAP, which trade CFDs. If you're an American, you can't trade this way. You can just follow us on futures if you want to. It's a little bit fuzzy. Is that correct? Just write the word fuzzy. I just need to understand slightly. Okay, so hang tight a second. I'm going to get off the screen just a second. I'll be back in a minute. I think I know why, because it's double streaming for me. Just bear with me a second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and it should be a little bit clearer, I hope. Let's see if it's a little clearer. A little bit clearer. Not as much. I thought, because I had a double stream going on. That's why I thought maybe, I don't know why it's fuzzy. I think it's finally coming in a little bit clearer, guys. Give it a second. Should be a little bit better. I think because it was doing double streaming. That's why it was eating too much bandwidth on the move here. All right. So in principle, why is this like a good setup, in my opinion? Because the main thing that we're looking for, yeah, it's better, right? It's starting to come in a little bit. The main thing that we're looking for, obviously, is volatility. A white candle or a purple candle is implied volatility. It's actually volatility implied inside, in its color. So if you have implied volatility followed by a strong continuity signal, presumably we should have a very decent trade, especially if it's in the direction of the overall trend. So like in this particular case, it's an uptrend. So here's a white candle. You take this trade over here. This is gold, 209. It's the afternoon, so gold is really not doing anything, but it eventually does go up to 210. It doesn't stop you out because it's only like a $2 move. It would have taken you like 12 minutes to make this trade. Very, very, just very quiet New York afternoon trading for gold. Gold is just not a New York closed trade, but the indices should have some possibility for us. Like it's amazing how we just died. Oh, sorry. Look at this. I missed it. Sorry. Okay. It's actually, you know what? We'll take it. Let's do this. 5 to 100 by, I'm late on this trade, but it's fine. I don't care. Let's just see. Yeah. I want to just see if it will work in principle. So this is the white candle. This is the entry we should have been in. We're a little bit late, but not that far late. It's 43. We came in at around 47. The target is 52, right? So that's where we should be on the trade. Let's see if we can make that trade. So on this is 43. The high was 46. Really, really slow, lazy trading in the markets here right now. time is it? It's 3:20. Really not a lot of movement on the close here today. US30 totally dies out. So, oh man, you know what? So I went the other way in US30. The trade should have been here. Again, this is the purple candle. The next, we have a pause. The trade should have been through here, right at 57. I got in at 52, which is clearly, a little bit late, but it's fine. Let's give it a shot. Let me see if I could just maybe make like 5-6 points over here. I'm a little bit late on the continuity. I'm just trying to show you the principle in trade here. The Nasdaq trade is also. I'm just going to get out of this Nasdaq trade, and we'll see if he wants to set up to the short side. So in this case, I have a purple. If it holds, if the purple holds, what we're looking for is a pause and then a red dot candle after that. That would be the sell that we're looking to do. The US30 is just doing nothing, man. Jesus Christ. $57. So what I'm looking for is a non-dot sort of a purple candle, no dot structure in the direction of the move. Let's see if we can get that going. In this case, it's this one to this one. So I'm a little bit late. You know what? Let me just sell some more. Just kind of mark myself. I'm going to wait for a dot. Let me not press this trade. If this turns into a red dot, let me sell that. I don't want to just willy-nilly sell it. So the idea being is like, here's the purple. I'm looking for the red dot. This was the proper trade. I came in a little bit late. Let's just see if I get a confirmation again to the downside. That was it. Wow, it's just remarkable. I don't know, it feels like it's late August, summer. Like the end of the New York close price action has just been miserable as far as volatility. We've just been doing nothing. Sitting here in basically a range bound trade without very little direction. Dow is up though considerably more than Nas. All right, here we go. I get a red dot. Let's hope this red dot holds, because I just want to show you the principle in action. Yes, it's a 2 ATR. You mean like, sorry, you mean that's high ATR or low ATR? 18 seconds left. Here's the red dot. 3 ATR in 5 minutes. So I'm going to sell this just to put myself into the proper frame of structure. So we're going off this one. This one it's got to hold the dot. Jesus. Okay, barely holds a dot. Okay, so we short this. Okay, and let me move everything around so that kind of targets this. Let's see if it all comes in on the target. Gold is not working. Nothing is working here at this point. Let's see what Nasdaq is doing. Nothing. It's just everything is just totally, totally choppy. Totally choppy. So this should make me. Why am I not done? How am I not done? There I am. I'm finally done. So this finally breaks down. It was very ugly trade, but you guys got the idea of what was happening. Let me see if I can go into execution marks. You can see the execution marks on here. Just very ugly. I sold this one. I finally bought it at the 51s. But you get the idea. The true trade should have been this one. And the trigger would have been, let me just remove the marks so you guys can actually see it. The trigger off of this one would have been this one, 57, right? And it finally hits, 47 over here, starts to come down, starts to make its trade. So, US30 finally showed us the trade that we want. So now we have more purple candles, right? And if we have a couple of pauses and a fresh red one, we'll short again. But remember, the best probability is at the beginning of the trend slice. As you go deeper into the trend slice, the probability starts to fall off, especially if you've made 2 or 3 winning trades. Then the probability falls off. Sorry guys, just one sec. Bear with me. Okay. So let's see if I can time this properly for you. I have a purple candle. I have kind of a pause trade here, although it starts to create another purple candle. The only reason I don't do like one after the other is because you're kind of running into oversold, overbought conditions when you're trying to sell the second purple candle. If you're a high believer in momentum that this is going to unwind hard, then by all means you can try and do this. But I'm going to sort of defer to a more cautious approach where I'm looking for a little bit of a retrace and then a resumption of the downtrend, and that's the idea. The basic premise of this is the purple or white signals volatility, right? Unfortunately, and this is the only problem with all of this stuff, is that when volatility falls, sometimes it's very trendy. You don't get a chance. Like, the flip side of being cautious is that you don't get a chance to participate, right? So that's always a trade-off. If you want to kind of be cautious because you don't want to get retraced on, you don't get a chance to participate because volatility tends to be very trendy, right? So you can almost trade 2 types of trades. One, super aggressive, where you get the volatility signal and you just the next red dot, you just short it, or you can trade the more conservative approach where you get a volatility signal, you wait for a couple of pauses, and then you trade the structure. Depends on your personality and everything else. Yeah, yes, is chop suey. You want to explain, Brooklyn, why 3 ATR 5 minute is kind of a choppy move? What you're saying is that basically the 5 minute Average true range is just three ATRs. So what is it? What should it be on a normal basis? Okay, so this is kind of interesting. It's not quite the trade that we want, but you have this white candle. This is a red. This is a dot, right? I mean, we have a negative slope that's kind of turning positive slope. But let's just sort of trade the spirit of this idea. The idea is that, I have volatility and I have a confirmation on the other side. I don't know if this is going to work, but it's worth a shot, right? We'll take the trade here. Spreads are obviously very, very tough for us. So I'll just put the take profit over here. Let's see if the basic idea is I'm trying to show you how to trade continuity. And the assumption is that there should be there was volatility to the upside. Do we have some continuity? One of the things that makes this a little bit ugly, of course, is that we had a dip below the moving average. So really problematic as to how much continuity there'll be. But let's give it the old college try and see if there's some continuity here. And boom, nice continuity. Actually more than we thought. So that kind of helped and that worked the trade. Are you guys sort of following what the structure that I'm showing you here? It absolutely works. It's moving about 3 points. Okay, so if you just said that right away, instead of trying to be really, really fancy with the ATR, because I didn't know what the implied ATR was on the 5-minute range. We would see that it's just very, very chop suey. Yeah. The cool thing is all of these complicated formulas, highfalutin expressions, a lot of mathematical constructs are all embedded into a visual cue with dots. That's what makes dots such a cool trade, is the white candle implicitly tells you volatility. The purple candle implicitly tells you volatility. So you could just look at the visualization and construct a trade scenario from there rather than try to calculate it all in your head or rely on, derivative formulas for your answers. So that kind of makes it a lot easier to trade. Okay, here we go. Here's Dow. Give me a white candle, right? So if 2 or 3 candles forward, we're staying above, slope is green, we're staying above, and I get a dot candle, that's going to give me some confidence that this thing is going to run higher. It's 3:30. We're either going to run for the roses, or this is going to be yet another bullshit close where we just do nothing and fizzle out at the end. Nasdaq traded mildly to the upside. So the idea here was we took this white candle, we took this white dot, right, which is a positive dot. We got long here, and that was good enough for just a little bit of a hiccup of continuity to make our life worthwhile. But in a strong trend construct like this, here's a nice clean hour-long trend. Here's the white candles, here's the red, here's the dot that we take a signal from. Here's another white candle, here's another red dot, we take a green dot, we take a signal from, right? Here's another white candle, here's another dot, we take a signal for. That's 3 or 4. In a strong trend, you're running with very high probability good entry structures for 3 or 4 of them in a row, which is where you want to be. It's not super rushed. It's not like you're snooze you lose because you're pre-preparing yourself for it. And you could also obviously trade once you get counter trend signals. You can trade counter trend as well. Although here there wasn't much. There really wasn't much counter trend. Here's one where you had a purple candle, and this was the dot that followed it. So you got short here, that worked, but not a lot. Much more interestingly, and this, by the way, is what really, really caught my eye on this idea. What made me realize that this was a really cool idea is once I started seeing these highly vertical 45-degree trends, that's where you start. That's where you see the best, easiest setups like this. So white, long here, boom, trade here, white, long this one, boom, super easy trade, right? Just easiest of all trades because it flips up on a vertical incline. Conversely, purple over here, here's your red trade over here, boom, super easy for just a slam into the trade. Here you had a very, very vertical move here. Pause. You take this one, right? Boom, 69. That obviously trades really, really well to the upside. Just trying to show you a little bit more of herky-jerky moves here that we had. Here is white candle. None of these are proper dot candles. This one is. I think you would have to. I don't know if you survived this. This is 49. Yeah, this was. You really had to trade this with it, especially because you had the yellow candles in between. You absolutely had to expand your volatility to a 1030. But if you traded with a 1030, this was definitely a doable trade. There's not as many of them, but the thing is that they're really, really clean, and they offer just high profit. You can do size on it because you have like an 80% confidence that it's going to work, in terms of trades. I'm not in any trades right now. If I'm in a trade, you'll see me actually be in a trade. I don't have any setups right now. Nothing is happening. It's literally dick all, flat all, nothing doing market right now. It's as flat as a pancake. The cool thing is the other thing about this I was going to say to you is that because when you have a lot of false starts, right, this setup prevents you from falling for the false starts because you're looking for that red dot post purple or a green dot, white dot post white. And if you get this herky-jerky one up, one down, one up, one down, you're not doing anything. You're not moving because there is no confirmation of continuity. So like right now, you could have fallen into a trap on this purple trade. Nothing, you're just standing still, ignoring the bullshit. Well, I'm going to watch the US30. US30 obviously is a much better bid than Nasdaq today. They're both very lackadaisical, but we'll take what we can get. I think part of it is that it's not a bad day for trading, but we're so spoiled with 1% days, 2% days when you have these 300, 400, 500 point movements that when we get into like 0.5% day and it's 50 points worth of range and we got to really, really extract the profits very, very carefully. We get frustrated. We're like, where are the setups? And then the setups fail because there's little continuity. All of that stuff just compounds because you're in a wrong mindset. You're still thinking about yesterday's market when in fact, we obviously have a different market now. And you got to accept that. All right, so here's a purple candle. So if it holds, then we see if we get a couple of pauses and then a continuity to the downside, we'll short this. Let's go long gold. Okay, why am I going long gold? It's the same principle that I showed you earlier. This is a white candle. We're positive bid. This is the first actually, this was the first green dot. I'm wrong, actually. This was the first green dot, but it really wasn't. There was a red candle, so it wasn't really a kosher trade. But, let's see if I get a little bit more continuity on gold here on this trade, because I'm pivoting off this pull away candle. It really dipped very, very hard, but then it recovered, and the idea is that hopefully we get a little bit of recovery. I'm basically just looking to see if we get any kind of setups off of a very choppy market right now. So the most, I'm selling this shit. The only thing I hate about TradingView is changing stops and targets. I'm a little bit late on this, but not horribly. I mean, actually, my price is better than I should. The idea here is, why am I taking this trade? Because if you look at this, the structure that I was telling you, here's a purple candle. Here's the next red dot, right? This should have been the sale. It's so choppy that nothing is kind of working, but presumably this is the trade we want, trade to the downside that we want. So purple, first red dot, post purple. Yes, 30 doing nothing. Got 20 minutes to the close, and the price action couldn't be more complacent. Gold also, everything is very, very flat. All right, white, finally, like sort of at least a legit setup here, in the sense that get a white pull away candle into a positive trend. This holds, it starts to consolidate higher. We'll try to trade it to the upside. Just looking at futures on my other side here. Everything is super sloppy. Gold climbing a little bit higher for us, maintaining its bid. Let's see if it could, let's see if we could just trade that higher. The true trade should have been here, even though I know it's kind of crazy that you're going to be buying underneath the, you're going to be buying a red candle. But again, you're playing the dots purely off of volatility. So volatility, positive dot, positive trend. This should have been the trade. That would have TP'd. I took this trade over here, and it's kind of crawling to the upside. We'll see if it can take its cue here a little bit higher. All right, here's US30 in a very, very tepid little white dot. So we're going to trade this 1030. Oh, that's Bitcoin. Sorry, 1030. And this is actually a good looking trade for us if it holds. 45 seconds left. We have a we have a white dot over here, and we're looking for a confirmation dot, looking for a secondary confirmation dot here. It's not happening. Nasdaq is falling a little bit. All right, we'll see if the divergence in NAS to US30 holds up. 10 seconds, 9 seconds. We're not trading it unless it prints a dot. It does print a dot, so we're long the trade. Let's see if it works. Nasdaq also kind of, I'm going to go to Nasdaq and just reverse myself. Just reverse myself on this trade because now I have a white dot, right? I have a white candle, and therefore I want to orient myself to the upside, right? Assuming this white candle holds. Ugh. Here's the US30 trade. All right, Nasdaq white candle does hold. So now we're looking for, for the green dot continuity. Let's see if they want to run it. Yeah, starting. This is 15 minutes to the close. Maybe we get a run. Let me see if US30 gets a run. Starting to get a run. This is where we like to trade. And by the way, this is the close of the market. That's the kind of trade you want to do. The help of the dots to help you run for the roses on the close. It's just like a run of the turtles, not run of the roses. So slow. Usually you have like 15, 20 point moves in a candle. This thing can't even make 10 points right now. All right, now this is holding. So we're going to be patient here to see if we get a pause and then a dot trade. Okay, so I got a pause. So now if the next trade that's a dot, we'll take it. But Jesus, wow! Look how lame and limp this rally was. They couldn't even hold the highs. Wow. Very uneventful Wednesday session. And really feels like August rather than December, but it is what it is. We can't make the market go when there's no volume. Nobody wants to participate. We get these kind of very choppy, chippy little trades. 2,200 ticks, 22 ticks. We need to see 72.72. This thing is just crawling. Wow, we are reversing on NAS, reversing on US30. Very tight range, right? What do we do? This 3 o'clock hour was like a whopping 50-point range. There are 40-point range in the Dow. That's something that happens in 1 minute in the Dow on a good volatility day, and not even a 46 to. It's not even like 20-point range in Nasdaq, which is again also pathetic in so many ways. 10 minutes to the, to the curtain. Nothing much going on over here. No, 2-minute chart, 1-minute chart, doesn't matter. The vols are, very bland. You see that the actual range is just super tight. A 20-point range is just not going to give you enough continuity, enough. What we want is these big wide ranges. We want a 40-point range, 50-point range, in the last hour. You look at this last bar, 10, average 10 bars, the average high is 5 ticks, 5 points. That's pathetic. That happens like in the dead of night in Asia session in Nasdaq. So we're just, not an active market right now. And by the way, the Dow now is just completely collapsing on me. So that little run not working at all. I mean, look at this. The signal was 61 and the highest we got was 67 on the Dow. Where do you get the brown shaded area? It's there by default. You go over here. You have to make sure that you have the AB setups. And you're going to go all the way to the last one. You want to make sure that the zone fill threshold is at 60 and transparency is set to 70. And you should be able to see it. Yeah, the market this morning was pretty good. So we actually have a reversal of this, of this setup happening here, in a sense that, if you look at this carefully, you have a purple candle, and if this thing comes down, you get a continuation dot to the downside. By the way, let's take a look at Nasdaq. Is that, yeah, Nasdaq is the only good thing I can say about Nasdaq is that we didn't have a false signal to get us into, but now we're starting to really sell off. So maybe we got the 10 minutes in the market. Now we start to see a sell-off in the market, and I can reverse myself a little bit here. I'm going to exit out of this position and see if I get a red dot to the other side. $17 seconds left. We don't have much time left for real market session to construct any kind of intelligent trade here. I'm going to sell this because remember I said sometimes you don't get the chance to do this. So let's see if I'm right in terms of maybe we get a little bit of continuity. Okay, here we go on the Nasdaq, on the Dow. 37 seconds. This candle holds. We're going to try and sell that. See if it comes back down. I'm going to wait till it closes. All right, it gives us a very weak red dot signal, but we'll take it. We'll see if it has any kind of continuity. Nasdaq does not. Nothing going on here. It's real chop city, guys. Just a complete waste of time today on the close. I try to be aggressive. I try to be conservative. Nothing is working because the bottom line is that the environment is just completely non-conducive for any continuity trades. They can't squeeze blood from a stone, and today definitely very stony price action. Let's see if they want to run it to the close. Just die already. Die, 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 die. Come on, die. Come on. 70, 720. All right, we'll take it. 745, good enough for government work, just because we got to squeeze out some friggin' trade here. Jesus, how pathetic is that? Nasdaq is not even giving us any squeeze just yet. But you know, better than nothing. Let's see if it continues to trade to the downside. Oh, we're down, down, down. There we go. Finally break down. Nasdaq finally breaks down. So we are validated in a very, very shitty environment. Basically, the whole market was the last 15 minutes. It's kind of like the basketball game. What did you do to the market? Right, exactly. But it's good, sort of a good lesson in the sense that it's the last 2-minute drill of the market that kind of worked. The main thing I wanted to show you is that the directional trade did eventually validate us. I mean, the purple move was the precursor to a volatility move. A little bit of retrace, came back down. Even the US30, which was a totally bullshit move. The white moves over here just didn't continue. When they didn't continue, I think the rule of thumb is that it's actually kind of an interesting idea. As I'm getting myself comfortable with the reading of this particular setup, I think the way you kind of got to read this is if you break the lows of the breakout candle, like this whole strategy is just based upon the continuity of the breakout candle, right? Of the trigger candle. So in this particular case, the volatility candle is here, right? This is the volatility candle. You break the lows of the volatility candle, that setup is dead. You could use the stop, but basically once you break it, it's dead. Because, just to show you what I mean by this is the volatility candle here, right? This is the high over here. Even if you sort of took this trade, you were never in danger of breaking the high, right? It took it over here. If you took this volatility candle as your trigger and you were entering over here, again, same thing. Never, it retraced against you, but never touched the volatility candle highs. So it may very well be that, like, we started with a 15 stop, but we basically adjusted to the volatility candle high, which is the more intelligent trade. If you're gonna take out that high or that low, your chance of that setup working are minuscule, right? Even if you look at gold here, let's take a look at gold. Let's see if I'm right on gold. So where was gold? Well, this was an awkward situation because the dot candle was actually underneath the volatility candle. But if you were trading, I mean, this is a good example where if you took this candle here, this is the vol candle, you broke that, it clearly broke it. But I think at that point it was already more than 3 points anyways. Gold very, very choppy. But here, if this was the volatility candle, you took this candle, it retraced back around here, you really were stopped out anyways. So in this case, you were in 208, you got stopped at 209, you were stopped out because by this point you would have just given up more unnecessary losses in this case. Whereas in this case, you have a volatility candle, and if you pressed it even here, you hold it against this high. It's pretty good. It's also, by the way, I think a good way to trade the aggressive trades where you get like two dots in a row off the volatility, holding the volatility candle trigger as your stop, controls your risk, but at the same time gives you a chance. If it's gonna die, it's gonna die fast, right? So that sort of plays out the structure. So we can keep working on this. We're going to work on this a little bit. Hopefully we get gold in Asia. I'll be with you guys in Asia on Think markets, and gold is really, really good for us yesterday. Had lots of nice clean continuity and gave us those kind of signals, left and right. So we'll try and trade those as we can. We managed to kind of carve out a last few trades on the structure. So I'll take it today. Better than nothing, right? And that's it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that you guys need to know. I'll be making the new fresh PDF tomorrow morning. If you guys want to come join me for the North American Open, and come join me tonight for Asia. We'll really focus on gold with Think Markets. Today's ACAP itself was great. It's just that the markets were kind of shitty. So we'll take it where we can. Big takeaway was really it's the last 15 minutes. The rest of the time, we could have just twiddled our thumbs. Which, by the way, I wonder, like, as we trade more of the North American close session, I wonder if that should be our just view, that we basically trade, really small positions, and then the last 15 minutes, that's when the move happens, up or down. The dots guide us right into hopefully target territory. Okay, guys. See you guys in a little bit. 7:45 tonight. We do the Asia session, triple lives. Everybody have a great, great night. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Ding, ding. Exactly. Ding, 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 ding.